Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Happy day after the 2012 NFL Draft. Daily Norseman here with our grades for the 2012 Minnesota Vikings draft class. And I'm going to give the Vikings draft class the same grade I give the Vikings draft class every year, and that's a great big incomplete. I've always thought that grading a draft not even 24 hours after it takes place is kind of one of the silliest and ultimately most futile things that sports writers do. I understand why they do it, because the draft or the National Football League is basically on hiatus for about the next 3 months, so we need something to talk about. But it's really not fair to the draftees or to the teams to attempt to evaluate a draft at this point in time, because we don't know how these players are going to perform on an actual NFL football field. We can watch all the tape we want, we can watch all the combine drills and stuff like that, but ultimately we have no idea until teams get out onto the field for an actual NFL football game to see how these guys are going to perform. The example I break out for this every year, I'm going to go ahead and read it. This is Mel Kiper's evaluation of the Minnesota Vikings 2005 draft class, a class that he ultimately gave a pretty solid B+ grade to the day after the draft took place. The Minnesota Vikings targeted speed on their board and definitely got it with wide receiver Troy Williamson, who wowed Minnesota enough that the Vikings passed on Mike Williams. Defensive end Erasmus James gives them much-needed help up front. Guard tackle Marcus Johnson will solidify the offensive line, and running back Cedric Faison has the potential to be a terrific steal in the 4th round. Dustin Fox is a good cornerback, and defensive tackle C.J. Mosley is a motivated overachiever. Now, anyone that's been a fan of the Vikings for more than a few years knows that the 2005 draft class ultimately wound up being the worst draft class in Minnesota Vikings history, one of the worst at the very least. And so this kind of illustrates why doing draft grades at this point in time is kind of silly. And so we can talk about what we like and what we don't like about the Vikings 2012 draft class, but for now, we're going to just give them a grade of incomplete and see how things work out on the field once training camp kicks off in July. And that's our evaluation of the Minnesota Vikings 2012 draft class. We'll have a video in a day or two detailing what we liked and what we didn't like about it, and we hope that you will come back and have a look at that as well. Thank you very much.